there we go, guys. We got this here. We got the skid loader over there. He's starting to pack everything in. Was running up, leveling us off. Got the Steiger running across the top, of course, leveling this thing down, packing it really good. That Steiger, he goes nice and slow with all that weight and those tires, and he really makes this thing almost like concrete. I can almost drive up there with my truck, which is really packed, which is great. Helps that fermenting process once again. Gets rid of that air inside of there and really makes some good feed. So like I said, this is day 2 of our chops. Again, this is just about halfway through the chopping process, so hopefully we can continue to get more and more of this done. But now I'm gonna go over to my baby here, which is getting all revved up already. Get ready to fire this up. Just so everybody sees it too, it's loud, but that's our TMR. Of course, we feed all of our animals up on the half closed lot. We're gonna finish the covering on this, but this is the lot here where we do have the beef cattle. Here we go, guys. This is what you're looking at when it comes down to it. This is the Gale 1285. I thought it was 1280, and then of course it's got the Horning 1403. Now this is the thing I was talking about that's really made a huge difference when it comes down to the chopping process. As you can see here, if you know what a Kemper head is, it uses these rotary knives down here to cut, then it grabs it with this and holds the stalk in here, feeds it up through all the way up the process up in here, and as it gets to this point, there's this bar up here which pushes the stalks down and it feeds it right up into the processor there. And as you can see, it kind of crimps and crushes the kernels. There's a cob sitting right there. It's one thing we're not a big fan of this corn variety that we got here, is the fact that that is actually happening quite a bit. Cobs are falling off, which shouldn't happen. Of course, you open this up, this is the slip clutch. Nice gearing system here. Once again, awesome little operation, but if I come out here in the field, this is something that we're not too fond of. At the end of the day, of course, Magnum. Nothing stops a deer faster than a Magnum, right, guys? So if we come out here, and actually up here I'm not seeing it as bad. If we go to the lower fields, we were seeing, here's a couple of them, but you're seeing a lot of this. We're having the cobs fall off of the, here's another one right there. We're having the cobs actually fall off. There's one over there, a couple of them, off the stalks. And we don't know, it must be something with the genetics, because we didn't have this last year where that would happen. I was checking to see, jitty wise, they feel good, but I did notice when I was checking the field on that one side, and of course, nice tall feed. As you can see, I'm about this tall to it right now, so there's quite a bit above this. This field actually did really well back in here, but I don't know if it's genetics or what's causing it. As you can see up here, this is actually a different style corn on the higher side. If you go down, you can see where it dips down right there, and that's a different type. So if we go down to the lower end of the field where we're staging, we're seeing a lot of that stuff actually just falling on the ground. We're seeing quite a few cobs. One every once in a while doesn't concern us too much, because it just happens when it goes through the machine, you know, over there, it'll pop out. It's nothing major on that part of it to lose a couple, but when we're seeing like groups of them, that's when we're going to have some issues with the genetics. So next year we might not be using this genetic just because of that fact. We might have the agronomist look at it, see what he thinks and what may be causing it. One thing too, with the Meyer box, of course, they're so tall, he had to add 3 or 2 more of the spacers on there. Got the support system, and he put a nice little camera on there that you can see up there so he can make sure he's in position. We use this chopper too when we have multiple trucks, so we won't use the dump box or multiple wagons. We will use the camera and the spout, and he'll actually turn it. We got the motorized turner down here. And then of course he plumbed through his own hydraulics there for the dump box. So as you can see, hydraulics are all plumbed out so he can do the bump. That was all his own plumbing in order to get that done. And then he ran his hydraulic lines all the way up to the back of the case. So once again, this is a picture of what that Horning looks like. It's just a Kemper head. So guys, if you're in farming and you know what a Kemper head is, this is pretty much what we're dealing with or working with. It's just it takes 3 rows at a time. That's just tightening up the tensioner pulley.
Yeah, that's a simple little idler setup here. That's probably the weakest point on this thing. And that plug, that trash plugging up in the corner there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Holland, we got a shaft that comes from the side that's way better.
How? And you can just buy for the head. You can just buy different brackets, right?
Yeah,
they go to
you
the.
could have them convert it. That's why we bought it. It's like you might as well fucking buy it because then we can always get it Holland in the future. It's like $1,500 and they'll convert it to a Holland.
Yeah. Well, just at least it fits all the pull behinds. You can.
Last forever.
Morning maintenance complete. Dad's calling, probably wondering when we're going to be there with the load.
Oh yeah.
Like, gotta get everything set up first. I did notice that the cobs are holding better up here than they are in that lower part of the field.
Yeah.
But there's a noticeable difference in the corn.
Yeah. The fruit corn really drops the ears off, I noticed.
Now for the first time today, and then I got my CB on me, so he'll be directing me where to go when he wants me to pick up or dump. We try and find this flat spot to dump. That way we don't have the tipping issues that we have with a lot of times with this particular cart. So again, I'm pulling off, and as you can see, the stalks go in, get knocked down by the bar on top, feed into the processor, and then of course go up into the wagon. So it gets chopped, processed, does a really nice job of crunching the leaves. You know, what we really try to see one other thing that I know someone's going to bring up that I was just thinking about while I was sitting here waiting is why do we cut so tall? I mean, a lot of people are seeing that we leave about a foot off the ground, about 10 inches to a foot on the stalk. And some people are going to be going, well, why are you doing that? Why not just cut it low to the ground? The issue we have here that some areas don't are rocks. We can pick rocks until we're blue in the face and dead. And this has been 3-4 generations in some of these fields, and we're still picking rocks, guys. We're picking rocks, you know, as big as basketballs and bigger, that just continually come out of the soil. And what happens is we can pick all the rocks. We run our rock rakes across this. We get rid of all the rocks we can get, that we can find. And then what happens is that during the season, as rain and stuff happens, more of them start to emerge onto the surface. So even like this field, when I was walking around, you probably saw rocks in the video, and that's why we keep it about 10 inches off the ground, is that way that header doesn't take any chance of scooping in a rock into the actual processor or into the Kemper head, causing some severe damage. You know, yeah, there's shear pins and stuff like that, but we have had instances where we try and go really low to the ground, where we've scooped in, you know, a rock and taken it right into the processor. And you don't want to get a rock into a processor. That is not a fun day. That is usually a lot of work and rebuild. And to be honest, we'd rather lose 10 inches off the ground, you know, of silage, rather than having to rebuild a processor, especially on that Gale. It may be impossible to find parts for it right now. That we've been very, very fortunate. My brother found extra parts. He actually bought a parts chopper for it, so we've got some options on that. But that processor is the last processor we got for it. And Gale went out of business, or they no longer produce farm implements. And when they went to that point, now we no longer have the availability to even get the parts, because most of these pieces of equipment are getting to be 20 years old now, 15, 20 years old, since they've been making parts for them. So they're running out, and they're not producing them on a regular basis anymore. Sometimes hit or miss on a production line. When they get so many available or wanted, then they'll go ahead and actually make a production run out of them. But until then, we could be waiting 2-3 years for that production run to happen. So it's just better for us to keep it safe. Keep it safe. We're better off losing a few inches off the ground of the stubbage, or the stalk of the stubbage on the bottom. Come back with a, you know, stalk chopper and clean it up that way than we are to try and scrape it right off the ground, get the maximum out, and suck a rock into it and potentially cause that kind of damage. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And yeah, I know that question may come up, but that's our reasoning behind it, and that's why we do that. On the field. Looks like this is the last load. Alright, when you fill me up, I'm going to grab Dad, bring him back here to get your truck. He wants to go in front of you through the swamps, just in case someone comes over the hill and gets you pinned, because you can't back up.
Yeah, all good.
I might just go run and get him now. Blade chirping. Pulls it in line. And now we're ready for road. Here we go. So one thing, since we're coming close to the end of the second day here real quick, this is something we found at one of the fields that we watch for when we're actually harvesting our crops, especially corn. We have black bear here, pretty prevalent here in northern Wisconsin. I'm going to switch over here. You can see right there, that's not done by anything more than a black bear rolling around. They knock down the stalks like that, and then if I go over there, they've actually stripped the kernels of all the kernels off the cobs, and they make like a little bedding area. Now this is pretty common. You can see how it's kind of spreading. If you were to let this go for more than a couple more weeks, the corn is still kind of in a milk stage, and if you continue to let this go for a couple more weeks, these circles would get really immensely large. Because, and so what they're doing is that they're getting ready for hibernation, and hibernation involves them going to sleep for the winter time because of the cold, because of lack of food. Now we found that bear don't always go and hibernate in the winter time, because some people don't harvest their corn until later in the winter when the ground freezes. And when that happens, the bear will actually stay out as long as there's a food source and continue to eat. They don't have any reason to stop. If the food source is there, they will not sleep, and that's the only reason that they really hibernate, especially here in the northern regions, is because the lack of food. So as long as there's food that's available, why go to sleep? They will continue to wake up. They'll slow down, they'll kind of go into like a slumber, but they won't quite go into a full hibernation where they sleep for 4 to 5 months like we used to see back in 20, 30 years ago. That and the number of bear in the area have continually increased pretty heavily due to tag limits and things, and certain organizations preventing them from actually getting more tags because they want better hunts, which is fine, and that's a whole other story that we could sit here and go into for sure in long distance, but I'm not going to do that on this video. We're just going to continue on to the corn harvest. But I just wanted to show that while I saw it was what bear damage is actually looking like, and this is a very small example. This field is freshly planted this year. This is the first year it's been planted in corn in 3 years, so bear haven't found it. If we did it for multiple years on that field, every year it would get worse and worse as more and more bear realize that food source is there, which is a real problem for our cash croppers here in northern Wisconsin. But otherwise, we're just going to keep moving along. We're up to load 52 right now. All right, we are just finishing up day 2. Hopefully we might have one more day, should be. Still got a little over half of the final field. It's just, we got to work tomorrow. I've got some things that need to be done other places on the farm, and so we're just going to call it quits. We all do. So we're going to end her for today. We'll probably do a couple small loads tomorrow, depending on if we get done at work in time. Try and maybe get, 10 loads out tomorrow. And then Tuesday we'll do a finish up, and then we will start covering this and then get this whole pile under plastic. We'll go over that procedure too when we get to that point. It's kind of interesting. It's not as simple as a lot of people think. Not just a single little thing of plastic. We do some other things while we're doing it, or another technique that we've learned over the years that have been really successful. And so as we finish packing for today, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. And of course, if you do like this kind of content, as always, hit that subscribe, guys. It's greatly appreciated. It'd help us grow this channel. I'm having a lot of fun doing the farming stuff and sharing it with you. And definitely a lot of things happening. I know that there's been like 3 releases right in a row.
and I'm just trying to make sure that you guys have some good content, something to keep you with the channel and something to keep you interested for right now. These will be going down to probably once a week is my guess. I'm not going to be able to handle more than that right now with my schedule, but I will commit to doing one video a week, at least while things are busy. Maybe in the winter I might go once every 10 or 14 days. This depends on how busy or what we're doing. Typically in the winter everything's frozen, there's a couple feet of snow, and we just kind of lounge around the house hoping that the weather breaks soon so that we can move forward. So other than that, guys, thanks for joining us. Of course, hit that subscribe, greatly appreciated. If you do enjoy farming, this is going to be a fun channel to watch. Thank you.